and they communicated with me with telepathy. I wasn't horrified, by the way. I wasn't seeing myself down there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm dead." I wasn't panicking. I wasn't scared, but I was thinking like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go away with these beings." So off I went. So that's where I went into the next realm. The next realm is I called it home.
Hello and welcome to Passion Harvest. I am Luisa, your host. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are in the world right now. Our guest today is Paul Northridge. He died and saw his past, present, and future. Paul Northridge had a profound near-death experience when he was 14. Paul is the author of Walk of Life, Feet on the Ground. This is his story and this is his passion. Paul, welcome to Passion Harvest.
Okay, thank you. I've had spina bifida. Well, I've got spina bifida, so I've had problems with walking for a long, long time. So from the ages of 0 to 16, I've had operations quite a lot. Basically every year, I had an operation. So one operation was called the Verona, and that was to lengthen my leg on my right leg because my right leg was shorter than the left leg. And in order to do that, they had to give me a muscle relaxant right before the anaesthetic was due. So I was lying in the theatre, and just so I had a pre-med before that as well. The pre-med is like makes you feel rather drunk. Sorry, as a 14-year-old lad, I was quite mellow with that inside me, and so that was my first point. And then they gave me this muscle relaxant. That made me then feel very weird. What I could feel was like a whoosh coming up me, and then I felt my hands really being really painful. So I looked at my hands straight away because I felt, "Oh, what's that?" And so I looked at both my hands, and there was already like red and swollen. And I'm thinking, well, that's unusual. And Mr. Newton, my surgeon, I've known Mr. Newton many years. He did all my operations really, so I've known him really well. So I said, "Mr. Newton, look at this, please." And he was right over there preparing for the operation. He turned around, and I can still think of his face now. It was like, "Oh," and then as he was going like, "Oh," then he just went. I just went off. It just felt like my plug was switched. It just like someone just pulled my plug out, and it was black. But the thing was, though, I can actually see black in my whatever. I've got no eyes at this point, but I can see black. So I thought, like, this is black. I can see it. But then, as I'm seeing black, momentarily, then I'm then coming out of my body, and then I'm at an angle of whatever angle it is in maths. I've never been good at maths. I hate maths. But whatever angle it was, I was looking down myself, not right above myself, but at an angle. So I could see myself, I could see nurses, my doctor, all trying to help me to get me back to life again. And as I'm doing that, then I can feel from another direction. So I'm like there, then these beings came from this direction towards me. And then these beings were loving, they were beautiful, and they knew me, I knew them instinctively. I felt that they knew me, I knew them. And there was three of them. They're hard to describe them. They were glowing. You could see like a head, you could see shoulders, and then it starts like dissolving a little bit. But they were more like translucent, silver. Yeah, just beautiful souls. So I can't see your eyes, I can't see your nose, but you can see, and they communicated with me with the telepathy. So, and they kind of think they're still saying to me, "Paul, they didn't say my name, but I think you should come away from there. Do you agree to go from here to go to somewhere else?" I wasn't horrified, by the way. I wasn't seeing myself down there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm dead." I wasn't panicking. I wasn't scared. But I was thinking like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go away with these beings." So off I went, and yeah, so that's where I went into the next realm. The next realm is I called it home, to be honest with you. When I called it, it felt like more like a homely place to go to. Naturally, for my soul, it felt like a home to me. So I feel like it's the place that I go back to. So that's what I felt. And so as I get to this realm, the beings are then showing me around almost, like explaining to me about certain things. Like there was one particular soul that was in like it's hard to describe things which are not home, well, not earthly. They're more different. So I called it like a booth, but it wasn't really a booth, but it's in some kind of a covering, and this soul's having some kind of help because it's had issues in that previous life. They're trying to get re-energized again, back to normal, healthy soul. So basically said, come away from that soul. Don't go into that soul. So I kept away. Anyway, naturally, I kept away anyway. And then as I'm going towards the next bit, then I went into a life regression. And on this life regression, I could see past, present, future, all in one go, which was quite amazing, really. So in this, it looked like a well. If you have to like give it something like an earthly resemblance, it looked like a well. Some people said it looks like a TV. Some people said it looks like a cinema. Some people say it looks like a well. I said it looks more like a well. So as I'm looking at this, it goes into like normal memories then after that. So you look into it first, and then you then take it on as in like a normal memory, normal reflection. And I could see past where there was things at school. So I was 14 and when I had this near-death experience. I could see things from primary school, and then it can then leads up to then other experiences to even today. Well, on that day where my mum and dad was in the kitchen, thinking, I wonder how Paul's going. He's going to have his operation now, and they're like preparing food in the kitchen because one of the things they love to do for me when I had an operation, or if I had to stay in hospital, they love to treat me with food. And so they were getting ready for coming over with nice bits of food for me. So I could feel their thoughts saying like, oh, I bet Paul's going to be really excited when he sees all this type of food and all this kind of thing, and making him happy and stuff like that. So that was a memory I have. And then I could see then into the future, but as a 14-year-old lad, I didn't realize it was future. And so that's where I saw things like driving. I saw Russia, which was weird because I didn't know what Russia was in relation to myself at 14 years old. But long story short, I married a Russian lady. And so that's why I saw Russia. And I even saw maybe a future death, and maybe it will be in Russia, which is a bit weird to say, but I saw like a future death where I'm in a flat and I could see one lady at the side of my bed, another lady at the front of the bed type of thing, and I've basically got a wife and I've got my daughter, so I'm presuming it was my wife and my daughter in the future. I'm predicting, but I'm looking older and I'm looking weak and looking tired. So I can see myself there. Maybe it is me in the future. I don't know, but that's what I felt like it was. So what else did I see? I saw a cat purring and all sorts of things like that. And why does a cat purr? I saw like creation of life, like watching it from like the spark of the conception to like the spark of life and then developing. It was almost like watching a documentary of how a baby was being, from created to being born. As well, I remember seeing that. All sorts of things, really. So much more. Maybe I can describe if you've got any questions about that so far.
I mean, I think it's absolutely fascinating, past, present, and future. But if you feel like exploring more of what the future visions were, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah,
comfortable
sure.
sharing.
Yeah, no problem. So future-wise, I saw myself driving, 14-year-old lad, and disabled. I never really thought I'd be driving, to be honest with you. I always thought I would be taxied and driven by people. So I never really thought I'd be driving. And but there was in this future vision, I saw like a person being really excited and really happy that I'm driving. And anyway, so I get to like 17 years old, and I passed my driving test, and I could drive an automatic car. And yeah, and to know that I passed my driving test at 17 years old, I was thinking like, yes, and I'm now able to like go here, go there, and not rely on people. So it was really a memory of that reflecting on, I think, to be honest with you. What else did I see? I saw a ceremony, but it looked a bit like I can describe it. I became actually my wedding in Russia, because when I realized it wasn't a near-death once I realized it wasn't a near-death experience that I had, I thought, well, how come I didn't see a white wedding? And I was a bit down, to be honest with you, because I was thinking I didn't see a white wedding. So I'm not gonna get married. I literally thought, when I got into my 20s and realized actually it was a near-death experience, I'm thinking, actually, I'm not gonna get married, am I? That was my thoughts thinking then, because I didn't see a white wedding. Anyway, long story short, I do get married, but I get married to a lady in Russia. And because she was married before, she didn't want a white wedding. She wanted to wear a turquoise dress. And so what I saw was actually a registrar gathering. It wasn't a church. So what I saw was that, and I saw why Russia was so important to me. And yeah, Russia is very, very important to me, because obviously my wife and daughter is there, and get to Russia quite a lot, and travel to Russia a lot. And yeah, so Russia is very, very important to me. What else did I see? I saw going back a little bit, I saw previous deaths even, which is a bit weird to say to you as well. It's like almost like a packet of cards. I mean, it makes you like a magician doing like that, like go through cards quickly for you. It felt like I've seen like death, 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 death in different ways. One was a horrible one, which was falling on wooden spikes. Don't know what that was. It was like either Greek or Roman, but it was a horrific death that I remember thinking like, oh, what was, I've come back to life again. But when I was 14, came back from that operation, thinking like, that was a very surreal dream. That was so weird. And I mean, I never even heard of near-death experiences at 14, and get to like 20 something, and I watched the documentary, and the person said, yeah, I came out of my body. I saw beings and all this kind of thing. I'm thinking like, oh, life review, yeah, that's what I had to. And it was all that kind of memory, thinking like, okay, I had a near-death experience as well. And my surgeon, Mr. Newton, he said that yes, we had to resuscitate me as well. And I had a big red sticker on my folder. Do not give this patient this muscle relaxant. And so yeah, that's what happened after that.
Do you remember coming back to your physical body, or having a choice to return?
Good question. So when that happened, it was more like at the time of when people say they see a bright light. I saw at that point. So I had my near-death experience. I mean, I had my life review, sorry. And then once the life review had finished, then it was then the moment of you want to go back to your body, or do you want to stay here and then do the next things? But because I'm not seeing, I can describe to you, it's not like there's no pressure. It felt like there's no pressure. I could have stayed there, or I could have gone back. But the conversations that I was having telepathy wise was thinking like, well, I'm 14 years old, and they're like saying, yes, you are. And I want to see my family. Yes, you do, kind of thing. It was almost like reaffirming my thought process at the time. And the thought process was, I'm young, I want to see my family again. They're basically thinking like, I'm going to do this anyway. If I stayed where I was, I'm gonna have to do all this again. And to say true, I didn't want to go back to school again. You know, primary school. I didn't want to do all that again. I've learned a lot already with primary school, with bullying and stuff. Because going back to the life review again, when I was younger, I was bullied a lot because of having spina bifida, and so I went to a normal school, whatever normal school was, and I was the only child with spina bifida, and I was the only one with a disability. So children used to bully me quite a lot, you know, because I used to walk different to a lot of people, and so I was getting tired of being bullied a lot of the time, and it obviously was very upsetting to me. So I thought, I'm going to change it. I'm going to become the bully. And so I victimized. So it sounds horrible to say, but as a child of maybe 6, 7 years old, my thought process was then like, I'm going to change it around a little bit. I'm going to become the bully, and I bullied for a short time. I mean, I'm not proud to say it, but I did. You know, I changed it, and I became the bully for a short period. And when I went to the life review, and I could see that moment where I was bullying other children, and I actually felt like I could feel what they were thinking, and thinking like, why is it become this person? You know, he was nice before. Why has it changed? And yeah, and all kind of, you know, confusion and all that kind of thing. So I could feel their thoughts. So that made me realize that we are able to, when we do have a life review, that we are basically one consciousness, and we both understand why we do what we do, and just understand why we become, you know, certain ways sometimes. Yeah, you can understand me.
You mentioned the three beings of light.
Okay.
People talk about angels or spirit guides. What do you think they were? Or perhaps, I'm sorry to interrupt. You're doing a great job, because it's very hard to define it or talk about it in words. Maybe there's no categories. Maybe you can't categorize it, but
no, not really. I can't really categorize. I wouldn't say that they're angels from my perspective. I didn't see wings or anything like that. As an angel, people see wings and all that kind of thing. I just saw glowing silver. There's a couple of things I do in relation to that. There's one artist called Lloyd Canning. He's a British artist, and he's painted some wonderful pictures. And there's one picture called Eternal Soul or Eternal Spirit. I've forgotten what it is. That's titled, but it's called Eternal Spirit, I think it is called. And what it was is it actually painted what I saw. So it's like silver, blue, green, red, but basically it's like a head shape and shoulders, and then like I say, it like dissolves. You can't really see the rest of it. The best thing about it, from my perspective, was that because I was having spina bifida, I could actually, I think I was the same, because I couldn't feel my legs. I didn't have any legs anymore, and it was almost a bit of freedom from my perspective. It was very much a nice, freeing sensation, and I could see also in this realm that people's souls could also manipulate their body, whatever it is, because I saw like in this realm, it's hard to describe as well. There's not like a land and sky. It's none of that either. It's because there's no land to walk on. You've got no legs to walk on. You're not actually physically touching things. Okay. So basically, you could fly in this realm, and I saw people having like fun with a ball, like a silvery glowing ball type thing, but this was like playing a sporty game with each other.
people often talk about when they transition, loved ones, family members come to see them or meet them. Did you have any of that?
No, I was 14, and I didn't. I don't actually had anybody in my family that had passed away. that I could have said that they were so and so, but I didn't see faces. To be honest with you, I know people do say that they saw certain people, like mentioned, but I couldn't resemble any facial things at all. We didn't have any eyes, so we can see and hear without our ears and eyes. We were like, it really is hard to describe that.
It's a feeling experience, really.
Feeling, exactly. It is, yeah, and it's definitely not ears and eyes. It is a feeling, and I don't recall any faces at all. Sorry to say.
No,
I don't want to. I don't want to say anything that that other people are lying, but because I'm not. Everyone's got their own. I think sometimes also with near-death experiences, I think you have your own experience as well, because we're quite unique in our own ways, and I think everyone has a unique experience.
And incredibly interesting, as you said, you were talking like cards flipping, that you saw many, many deaths.
Mm.
And you also, you talk about your experience like many near-death experiences do, as it's so vivid and still memorable and still very present. Is it your belief now that you have had multiple incarnations, life and death, as we call it?
Yes, yeah, I definitely do. And I feel that I came back to have this particular role, and to I feel like my role is to help people to not worry about death, and it's also to make them realize that we do keep coming back, because a lot of people are scared of dying, and also worried about, oh, I wonder how my loved ones are that passed away, and how are they? That kind of a curiosity, and I just want to make them aware that yes, you go back home, you stay there for a little while, and then you come back again as another reincarnation, and yeah, you're here to learn. And the main words I remember from this experience was learning, love, and connection was the three strongest words I can recall from this experience. They were the three key words that came back to me, thinking that we're here to learn, we're here to love, and we're here to connect with each other. And we need to be more unity with each other and not against each other. And that is really the strongest points I can say about it all.
Two more questions. What would you,
Sure.
you just detailed it, but what would you say to those? And as you mentioned, many people are terrified of death. What would be your advice?
Not to fear it. I think at that point of death, for me, for my own experiences, I was in a painful body at the time of death. It wasn't the point there I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. It wasn't that kind of pain. But I was in discomfort. It was a discomfort. But at the point of actually coming out of my body, it wasn't painful. It was like almost like they took me out of my body. You know when I say about the unplugging, it felt like that was the bit. So I didn't have to have the horrible shock of actual death. So I think they take me out of that body by unplugging me. Then at that point, then I come out of my body, and when you come out of your body, you're human. You're not even thinking human thoughts anymore. You're actually thinking soul thoughts. So you're more. It's more unconditional loving than a human can be sometimes. I mean, we try to strive towards unconditional love, and it's difficult to reach sometimes with events. But as a soul, we're definitely unconditional love. We are having telepathy and more unity, definitely unity. And the beings that I was with, they knew me, I knew them. Yeah, I feel like we're all connected to each other from that, and definitely, I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared of what's over around the corner. I think you've got to live your life and just love each other, learn and connect to each other, and be the best you can be for this role, and then progress to the next life. And I think if you keep progressing, then I don't know where you go to next. I really don't know. I would like to know, but
Me too.
it would be nice to know. But maybe you move to another realm. I mean, I think the Earth is quite a hard. It's a hard school to learn on. I think it's a hard school to learn on. I think we've maybe gone to other previous. I think we're all learning, and we all learn to on the Earth. We have horrible lessons to learn, and then once we got those, then we go on to the next planet, and then we learn different kind of lessons, which are not so hard. I think, hopefully.
Hopefully. Oh, Paul Northridge, it's been such a delight to have you on the show. Is there any message you'd like to share with the Passion Harvest audience that I haven't asked you on a final note?
No, I just thinking. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to, and I love what you do. Thank you very much. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're definitely a light worker. So that is awesome. Just keep doing what you're doing.
So are you, and thank you so much for sharing your story. Thanks very much,
you.
Paul.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you.
If you liked this episode, please do subscribe for weekly passionate, inspirational interviews.